So if we're going to put this back together again, what we'll have to do is, this part was included in this kit. That's the seating surface. That's what closes off the valve. There's the seat retainer, and you have a plate. This is just a gasket. It's a copper type gasket. It just gives you a good sealing on it. It seems like it's rather easy to get together. Unfortunately, it's not as easy sometimes. But again, you still need to use your screwdriver because you have a slotted head. You just want to snug that up. You don't want to over tighten it. If you over tighten, you start deforming the seat, the rubber seat. Just have to make it snug. Okay, and when inside this retainer, you have to get this O-ring in. This is where it gets difficult sometimes, because there's this little slot in there, internal cutout slot, that O-ring has to fit into. I usually use a screwdriver. Let's get the O-ring in the opening, and then it'll pop in its little slots. Now it's in. Now we'll take some of the lubricant. Just put some on the shaft because you don't want to bind up the O-ring. A little bit of grease. It's silicone lubricant. Don't use petroleum-based lubricants, so the O-rings will swell. Strictly silicone. Okay, now we're ready to put this back in after put the O-ring on. A lot of times people forget to put the O-ring on and they think, well, it'll just seal. But it's not a tapered thread, it's a straight thread. So that O-ring has to be in place. Now make sure you don't cross-thread it. It's pretty difficult to cross-thread it because it's metal. How tight do you go? It's difficult to say. You can usually feel it when it gets fairly tight. You don't want to over-tighten it because you might start pinching the O-ring. You can find out once you put water pressure back on it. If you start getting some water leaking out of this area, then you might have to tighten up that retainer a little more. Usually, as long as you make it snug, it's usually okay. Now, in this case, we're going to put our spring centering guide back on. Spring. This is the gasket, or the diaphragm retaining plate.
Now, how do you know which way on that diaphragm? It looks
Diaphragm will go both ways.
Okay.
Really, it probably, well, it's because it really doesn't make too much difference. It might be easier this way because it's easier to match up the holes. Once you get it started, it's not too bad. Spring-loaded valves always create a challenge. again. Keep the shaft from turning, and you can tighten. Again, you don't have to go tighten too hard because this is like a gasket surface. This is just preventing the water from passing through the diaphragm if you're using water for control pressure on the top of the valve or air pressure. So basically that's the sealing area. Now the diaphragm, if you notice, is special design, so you don't want to put it on the wrong way because it doesn't fit right then. So it's designed for the body.
Can we show that again, please?
If you put it the wrong way, it doesn't fit quite right. So the diaphragm is designed to fit a certain way. So as long as you match it up to the configuration of the body, the outline of the body, it'll fit properly. Same with the cap. The cap is designed to fit a certain way. If you put it the wrong way, it won't fit properly. Don't forget to put your identification tag on it. Again, if they're the newer valves, they won't have this tag. It'll be on the body. What you might do, and there's an option it's possible can be offered, is these could be already made up. This could all be reassembled. So you have this already made up. You have this. You have your O-rings inside. You have your O-ring on here. You can get that as a kit. Then all you have to have is your diaphragm and your couple nuts and your washers. So it saves time. Instead of trying to play with these in the field, you get them together. Once this is together, then you're not having to worry about your screwdriver and holding it and dropping nuts, which inevitably happens in the field. You end up dropping it through a grate, but it saves some time. So it's an option that you may want to consider. We can discuss that with our customer service sales department. Again, this is the diaphragm acts as a gasket, so you don't have to over tighten these. Just want to tighten it enough that you're not getting into no leaks. If you do have a leak when you pressurize it, it's easy to tighten it up. There's no use over tightening because you just deform the gasket or the diaphragm. Now, there you go. That's a repaired valve.